Suggests the Supreme Court may overturn Roe v. Wade.
Despite the cloud cover, at least we stay on the dry side, at least for a couple more hours. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a fake priest spends the night at the Windsor Castle Barracks.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 Supreme Court case guaranteeing abortion rights, appears to be on the verge of being overturned. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, Chief Justice John Roberts has confirmed the authenticity of a leaked draft opinion suggesting the Supreme Court may be poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. Politico published the leaked draft opinion showing the conservative majority on the court is prepared to strike down Roe v. Wade. The opinion was written in response to a Mississippi law banning abortion after 15 weeks. In it, Justice Samuel Alito wrote, "Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives." Demonstrators on both sides of the issue rushed to the court as soon as the news leaked, and many stayed overnight. The official opinion in the Mississippi case is expected to be issued well before the court's term in late June or early July. Well, lawmakers from both sides are reacting to the leaked draft opinion. Ed O'Keefe has the latest from the White House.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer came out swinging overnight, saying in a joint statement, several of these conservative justices have lied to the U.S. Senate, ripped up the Constitution, and defiled both precedent and the Supreme Court's reputation.
The Republican-appointed justices' reported votes to overturn Roe v. Wade will go down as an abomination.
Some Republicans, meanwhile, are praising the news. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley says the draft opinion is tightly argued, morally powerful.
The court should tune out the bad faith noise and feel completely free to do their jobs.
In Congress, Democrats have tried and failed to pass federal laws that would protect abortion rights. The Women's Health Protection Act easily passed the Democratic-controlled House last fall, but failed earlier this year in the evenly divided Senate. That's despite CBS News' most recent polling that shows a majority of Americans support keeping abortion rights as they are. But they also want it to remain legal in their state if the court acts and Roe is overturned. Remember, an outright end to federal abortion rights sends this issue back to the states, which means it's going to become a big factor in some really competitive governor's races across the country in states like Arizona, Georgia, Florida, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. What do all those states have in common? They're also likely to be presidential battleground states in 2024. Democrats have been saying for months, ever since the court heard this Mississippi abortion case, that if Roe v. Wade was overturned, abortion rights would likely become a top issue of concern in this year's midterm elections. We'll see. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, the White House.
In addition to Senator Josh Hawley, a number of 4 state Republicans have issued statements in response to the leaked brief. U.S. Representative Billy Long says this revision would aptly return power to the will of the people and the states as the framers of the Constitution intended. And Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says he has advocated for the reversal of Roe v. Wade all his political career and hopes the court does return authority to the states. Well, if the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, abortion access would be kicked back to the states. And that would lead to a patchwork of laws that vary widely by state, from outright bans to enshrined constitutional protections. Now, trigger laws banning abortions are ready to go in Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. In Kansas, voters decide on August 2nd whether the state constitution protects the right to abortion. We are getting a break from the rain, but that idea of sunshine is still up in the air.
Not only that, but it truly is.
Yeah, somewhere up there.
Right, it's the low-lying cloud. Do you remember 24 hours ago, right at this time period, we were talking about the importance of cloud cover and cooler temperatures? Well, that was because we still had the warm front that was departing over us. Now that we've got the cold front that's moved in, we'd be fine if we could get a little break in the clouds. It wouldn't pose anything that would, be in the way of severe weather. There's no precipitation lingering up there. It's just the cloudy, dreary day so far, and it has been a cool morning as well. These temperatures that we sit here at the noon hour, this is about what you'd expect for an overnight low for the beginning of May. And yet here we are at high noon and we're barely scraping by in the low 50s. As a matter of fact, out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri, Monette still only sits at 46 degrees. Now, there is a Skywatch storm tracker. No rain to even consider. Really, you got a good push east of the Mississippi right now on the other side of St. Louis. So while we don't have the threat of anything severe today, that is about to change, however, because we're going to see a whole bunch of Gulf moisture begin to settle in right along the Red River and then up through Oklahoma. As far as our weather trend goes for the rest of the day, I think we'll get a little peak of sunshine every now and then for the later afternoon and early evening hours. So it's not just going to be overcast all day long. So we skirt through the rest of the day, which is great because we do need a chance to dry out from the rain that we picked up overnight. But as we get into mid-Wednesday morning, we got the development of, you guessed it, thunderstorm activity. This is going to roll through, say, start about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning on the western edge of southeast Kansas, develops to the west down to the south, rolls through during the afternoon and early evening. Even after that little break, look at this, continuously all the way through Thursday morning. When we talk about the severe thunderstorm risk map for Wednesday into Thursday, we do find the low category throughout northeast Oklahoma. That elevated, that's down all the way by Oklahoma City. But Tanya, it just adds to our flooding concerns coming up here in just a little bit. Let's talk about how much we've already picked up. Great news. I will tell you that the flood watch for Berry County in southwest Missouri, it was lifted about 11:30. That being said, it probably is going to reemerge here with all that rain that we're going to get for the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and if you're looking for things to dry out, the cloud cover today is not
helping
at all.
And not only that, normally we'd say, well, yeah, but the wind will help. No, we're just going 5 to 10 miles per hour today. Not blustery at all. So it's kind of a double barrel as far as us losing that ability to dry out any.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. Ukrainian fighters say Russian forces are storming a steel plant in the besieged Ukrainian city of Mariupol today. The plant is the last holdout of Ukrainian resistance in the city. The offensive comes amid concerns by U.S. officials that Russia could be planning to annex much of eastern Ukraine in the coming weeks. It also comes as President Biden plans to visit a Lockheed Martin facility in Alabama this afternoon that makes Javelin anti-tank missiles, which the United States is currently supplying to Ukraine. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a royal intruder.
A royal security slip at Windsor Castle. I'm Ian Lee with how an intruder spent the night with the Queen's Guards.
And later, we're making Nana's Cannoli poke cake in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Here's a look at our tower camera, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power Project. You can check it out anytime on our website as it disappears. KOAMnewsnow.com/power. Well, royal security breach in Britain as an intruder pretending to be a priest talks his way past guards near Windsor Castle. CBS's Ian Lee takes us to London for the story.
The security slip-up happened just down the road from Windsor Castle last week. A man, posing as a priest, made his way into the barracks of the Queen's Coldstream Guards, known for their red jackets and bearskin hats. He reportedly spent the night eating and drinking with senior officers before getting a bed and breakfast the next morning.
I think what was especially concerning is that he was almost embraced by that regiment, and particularly the officers of that regiment, into open arms.
Police removed the man the following morning, but didn't arrest him. The Queen wasn't home at the time. The military released a statement saying the Army takes this breach of security extremely seriously, and it will be thoroughly investigated as a matter of priority. This is the second intruder at Windsor in months. A man scaled the castle wall on Christmas Day, hoping to attack the Queen with a crossbow.
Each time we have an incident like this is obviously embarrassing, not only domestically, but internationally as well.
The investigation comes just weeks before thousands of tourists descend on Windsor to celebrate Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
British newspapers report the intruder told lots of tall tales about serving in Iraq, which started to raise suspicion. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
They were making a poke cake that's grandma approved, and you won't want to miss what makes it so special.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Oh, 7th and Range Line has given us just a little peek of blue sky right there in the center. Low hanging cloud cover. It's almost like it's teasing us here, saying, yeah, we're going to get a little afternoon sunshine here. And I tell you what, it's nice. It'd be nice to get some because as we sit at 52 degrees, here's our daily almanac and our look at our average temperatures for a normal May the 3rd. You know, average low would be 52. So like I said earlier, here we sit at the noon hour, and this is usually where we would bottom out pre-sunrise, average high of 73. Well, we're not going to come quite close to that. As far as that monthly precipitation, that's really all about location right there. You have to remember that 0.64 inches, that's going to be specifically at Joplin Regional Airport, because when we get to our rainfall map here in just a little bit, you'll see substantially additional amounts when we get down to the southern portion of the 4 states. So looking at a whole bunch of high 40s to low 50s for the most part. Pointed out Monette earlier as it still sits at 46. Slew of 51s running through southeast Kansas, and let's roll 49 in Nevada. As far as the temperature change goes, not a huge difference with the cold front now over us and just kind of not going to budge for the rest of the day. You'll notice the warmer temperatures are out to the east of us. Everybody else, though, if you get out to the west, even down to Oklahoma City, they're sitting at about a 16, 17 degree difference. Look at the panhandle of Texas, Amarillo, about 30 degrees cooler than what they were yesterday. But even with the cloud cover, it's hard to complain since we finally do get a little break from the rain. You'll notice that sliver right there hanging over Joplin. That is where we were beginning to see that little pop of blue from our tower camera. We do have some washes to take care of. We'll go down to the south first, just a sliver of southern Delaware County where a flood advisory is in effect for Flint Creek. That lighter green that you see, that lime green that takes off down to the south right there, that is a flood warning for the Illinois River. Then as we transition into Vernon County in southwest Missouri, just north of Nevada, Little Osage. It has a flood warning lasting until Thursday morning. As a matter of fact, it is just tenths of an inch away from actually hitting the flood stage, at which point it would come over the banks. Last time we saw that, believe it or not, it was only 8 days ago. It has just been one of those things in Vernon County where it has just consistently been bombarded with the rain. Last night was no example. If we go right up there where that flood warning is for the Little Osage, 1.7 inches in the last 24 hours. Let's drop down here into Berry County, just south of Monette. That's 2.2 inches. So once again, that 0.64 inches that we saw on our daily almanac, that is specifically for Joplin Regional Airport. I don't want anybody thinking, well, my rain gauge reads completely different, because chances are, especially if you weren't in the central portion of the 4 states, you're going to have a lot more rain. Look at that blue surrounding the Pittsburgh area and stretching to Parsons. That's just about 1/4 to 3/10 of an inch. That's all that fell in the last 48 hours. Here's a look at our afternoon planner. We'll go low 60s, so remember that average high being 73. We're still a far cry from that. And then overnight, kind of stabilizing. We're not going to have a massive drop because we are going to warm back up. And we know what happens when we warm back up this time of year. It really won't affect tomorrow morning's commute. Say if you're leaving the house in between, say 5 a.m. to even 7, 8, 9 a.m. Here we go. Come about 10 a.m. We see the development on the west and the south. Heavy, heavy rain as this rolls through. Also, we're going to get thunder and lightning with it. We've been kind of saving that for the nighttime hours. We're going to roll that during the daytime through Wednesday night. And here's what I need everybody on their toes about. It doesn't stop until Thursday afternoon. This is going to be quite an elongated affair. The threat of severe weather, we do see that low category right there, but the brown indicating highest chances for wind and hail stays through central Oklahoma, works its way into the panhandles, then into north central Texas. It's just going to be the amount of rain, Tanya. We're going to see the expansion of flood warnings. Let's go ahead, like I said, timing-wise, since it's going to start a little bit later in the morning, it's going to be tomorrow evening's commute home. Especially if you work inside. And you're not paying attention to the amount of water that we've gotten all day long. You get ready to go home. You got a low water bridge, a low water crossing on your way up. No, just plan on it being underwater.
All right. Be aware of those levels and have an alternate route planned. That's
yes.
for sure. All right. Well, thank you, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Sergeant William Lewis in the U.S. Army. The Carthage, Missouri native joined the 116th Engineer C Battalion. 1951. He served in Korea, earning a number of honors, including 3 Bronze Campaign Stars, the United Nations Service Medal, and 2 Overseas Service Stars. To Sergeant William Lewis, we thank you, our 4th state hero. Today we're making a dessert that tastes like it came straight from your grandma's oven. Howard shows us how to make Nana's cannoli poke cake in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
A few years ago, I had the most incredible homemade cannolis at this little restaurant in Philadelphia. They were so rich and creamy, I chowed down on not just 1 or 2, but 3 of them. And from that day on, cannolis have been one of my favorites. So today, I can't wait to share a super easy spin-off of them that we just came up with in the form of a cake. We start by baking a white cake mix in a 9x13 pan according to the package directions. While that cools, we combine a container of mascarpone cheese, some ricotta cheese, and a little vanilla. Once that gets all creamy, we beat in some powdered sugar and a little sweetened condensed milk. Now, using the handle of a wooden spoon, we poke the cake, creating holes, sort of like this. Then we drizzle a can of sweetened condensed milk over it, making sure it gets into all the nooks and crannies. All that's left to do is spread the creamy filling over it and sprinkle on a few mini chocolate chips. When this comes out of the fridge, after chilling for a bit, get ready for a cake that's so moist and creamy, it'll be hard not to go back for seconds or even thirds. The recipe for what we call known as cannoli poke cake is online now and is so good, I know you'll end up making this over and over again. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found Nona's favorite way. That's Grandma in Italian, for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Might have to try that. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Every now and then we're seeing a little peek of blue sky. I haven't seen the sun in full effect as of yet. We will later this afternoon and into the evening, and enjoy the fresh air, because remember, starting tomorrow around 10 a.m. western edge of southeast Kansas, once the rain begins, we are locked in from Wednesday all the way to Thursday.
All right, yeah.
Brief reprieve anyway.
I wonder if it'll dry out just enough to get the yard mowed. That would be nice.
You better get that done today.
So you're not doing it on Mother's Day, being a mom.
I might have to.
Maybe.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a record 4.5 million people quit or changed jobs in March. We're going to look at the reasons behind the mass exodus and why a lot of workers who quit during the pandemic now regret that decision. Plus, it's National Tourism Week. We're going to meet visitors from the Czech Republic driving through historic Route 66. And McDonald County Schools launch a new enrollment push for pre-K and kindergarten. Students, hope you join us for those stories, a whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.